Okay, so I see we have a number of participants with us already, so I think we can get started now. Once again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, which is part of the OPERANDUM series on nature-based solutions for hydro-meteorological hazards. Today, our speakers will talk about prototyping a novel platform to facilitate community data access, collaboration, and interaction. Again, my name is Zara Amirzada. I'm from UNESCO's Disaster Risk Reduction team. We co-organized this webinar as part of OPERANDUM project. The webinar is going to take 1 hour. OPERANDUM project is funded by the EU within the Horizon 2020 program. It was launched in 2018 and aims to reduce environmental risks through innovative nature-based solutions that are co-created, tested, and demonstrated in various rural territories within and outside Europe. For all of our participants joining us today, as you can see, your mics are muted, but do feel free to write your questions or comments in the chat, which we will pass on to the speakers at the end of the webinar during the Q&A. Please also note that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available online. So before we get started with the presentations, I would like to announce some of our upcoming events. If we move to the next slide. So this webinar is the final part of our first OPERANDUM series. The next series will begin in only a few weeks, running from May 27 to July 28th. It consists of 3 parts, during which you will gain insights into what is being done in the 7 open air labs throughout Europe to reduce different types of environmental risks. And following this, a 3rd series will be dedicated to the OPERANDUM platform. In this series, you will be able to follow practical trainings and hands-on exercises for specific types of users, from scientists to policymakers, investors, or journalists interested in nature-based solutions or disaster risk reduction. So stay tuned. The dates and more details of each event will be announced on the OPERANDUM website and social media channels. So I would now like to introduce our speakers. We are very happy to have Professor Silvana Di Sabatino join us today, who is the coordinator of the OPERANDUM project. She is full professor of atmospheric physics at University of Bologna in Italy. Her current research focuses on urban microclimate and its interconnection with climate variability, city breathability, and its connection with urban planning. Among her research interests is the development of tools to connect basic research with applied science related to responding to the needs of modern society. Besides being the coordinator of OPERANDUM, she co-leads Work Package 7, which deals with the development of the OPERANDUM platform. Thank you very much, Silvana, for joining us today. Next, I will introduce our second speaker, Dr. Lara Sandra Leo. Lara has been working as a research fellow in the Department of Physics and Astronomy at University of Bologna, where she is now going to be appointed as assistant professor. She holds a PhD in atmospheric physics and has several years of experience in atmospheric field measurements, data management, and atmospheric monitoring techniques. Lara is a co-leader of the same work package on platform development in the OPERANDUM project. So we look forward to your talk. Thank you, Lara, for joining us and for presenting on behalf of the project developing team. And with that, I will leave the floor to Silvana to begin the presentation. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Zara, and good afternoon to all of you. We are very excited in presenting our platform that has been introduced by Zara. It's a new platform that has been developed from scratch within OPERANDUM, so we are really excited to coincide this talk also with the official launch of the platform. Well, just my part will be very short, and I will touch a few points. First of all, an introduction to the platform. I will just highlight the key aspect of the platform, and after that, I will illustrate where we are, and after that, I will give the word to Laura for the virtual tour through the platform itself. So this introduction is is for the platform, but it is very important to remember that the focus of the Operandum project is to provide science-based evidence and an improved knowledge for the efficacy of natural-based solutions. This specific objective, so the evaluation of the efficacy, is for the treatment of hydro-meteorological risks in terms of reduction and also adaptation to the effect of climate change. Just in a nutshell, on the right side, there is one key pillar of our project, that is the open air laboratory. And before making the connection with the platform, it is important that we recall that the structure that is the driving element of the project runs around several demonstrator sites that for us are open air laboratory. That is an extension of the concept of a living lab, but reinterpreted for rural, non-urban environment. So as you can see, these figures show the role of MBS in real life. It means that in our project, NBS needs to be co-designed, co-developed, and implemented. Within this, NBS is now a very hot topic, and what we try to do is to have an holistic approach where with MBS at the center and certain elements that are fundamental. So first of all, the stakeholder engagement, the monitoring, the modeling, the experimental part that are associated with the monitoring and the modeling. And also this is all inserted in a wide context where all the elements that are climate data or other type of data that comes from risk assessment are part of our analysis. And the final aim, that is on the right arrows of the figure, is for demonstrating how MBS can be achieved in a specific context. So following the co-design and co-development, we implement within Operandum several solutions within 10 of these open air laboratories that are in different countries. So the link with the platform is to converge all these elements in a platform that in a minute I will recall that is a platform that needs to serve, has been designed to serve several purposes. First of all, is the evaluation of MBS efficacy, and also to use this platform as a mean to further exploitation. But just to go in order, as you have seen, probably that this is a great team effort associated with the work package 7 of Operandum, with many linkages with the other components of the project. But if we stay within work package 7, apart from the coordination from the University of Bologna, I would like to mention the great, let's say, effort that at the same level of ours of CAIO services that is led by Dr. Kalas and his wonderful team, Joy and Dr. Vranic, Dr. Sasha, that are really part of the structure of this platform. Of course, the role of UNESCO is fundamental for all the assessment of user profiles and needs, The role also of the University of Surrey for the systematic review of existing nature-based solutions, and of course many other partners, and also the team of stakeholders. Each OL has a team of stakeholders that has been identified according to the specific need of each OL. If we go to the platform, then first of all, GeoIKP. What is GeoIKP? It stands for Geospatial Information Knowledge Platform, and these are all keywords that has as a first the geospatial information. So all the data that comes from the process of co-design, co-development of a specific MBS needs to be converted into a spatial dimension. This spatial dimension is very important because one of the key role of our NBS is to mitigate the hydro-meteorological hazards. So these hydro-meteorological hazards have a distribution that is related to several environmental contexts, latitude and climate context. So in structuring, in developing the platform, there have been several challenges that we have tackled. That first of all is the identification of a specific MBS intervention. And of course, these specific MBS intervention are associating the two different scales to fulfill specific needs, specific hazards. Within the project, as you will see later, those MBS deal with landslides, with flooding, storm surge, salt intrusion, and several others. So the extent of the intervention, of course, is different. But because we are really ambitious, we have been very ambitious into the design and implementation of the platform, we take on board also other aspects related to the MBS intervention. That is, of course, an evaluation of barriers, the lack of acceptance. At the same time, the project is trying to fulfill those elements, and documentation of this process are part of the GeoIKP itself. I'm not emphasize that any time that we do an intervention on the territory, we need to deal with the permitting parts. So also these elements, the policies that are in a specific country and have to be taken under consideration. Of course, another element, and why, let's not talk about only potential, let's say, negative aspect, but there are other elements that we would like to emphasize, that this is also an opportunity for developing new business. So in designing then our platform, we take into consideration also these elements. Another element that probably you have already thought of is that having a tool that has all is geo-referenced in terms of data will allow is suitable for the empowerment of different and diverse actors. All these actors are really embedded into the structure of an MBS project. In going in more details, one key aspect that is important to emphasize and make us a little bit, let's say, unique is that it has been developed to take into account different user profiles. So the platform, as you will see, has an advanced interface customization according to different profiles that are from the business and investors to the association, the citizen, the policymakers, the scientists. So this you will see in a moment that the type of information has been designed for these specific needs. Another other elements that we consider unique of this platform is that we have several tools developed with different thematic areas, and they are all integrated in one place. This means that has been a great effort into developing data interaction, let's say, that comes from different origin, science related, policy related, but also, and this is also the role of having tested within the project new MBS, is also to develop practice that not come from the literature critically revised, but also from the experience gained by the project itself. It has advanced web GIS capabilities. These allow spatial analysis and data integration, and has the ability to ingest and harmonize the different data sets, as I said, because diverse is the source of data. Also, it adopts metadata model for NBS, and this allow the flexibility of the platform, the data discoverability, and also the exchange of data in the context of NBS. So the platform has been designed also to interrogate or have contact and sharing with other platform. Where we are now at 2021, and as I said, this today with this webinar coincide the GeoIKP public release. Of course, we are almost a month 35 of the project, so almost 3 years have been several steps, starting from September 2019, where we had the first prototype after 1 year of the project, and we have gone through a user customization development of new functionalities. Of course, there will be updates during this year, and the idea is that the final one will be at the end of the project, that is December 2022. So just to give the ball to Laura, the GeoIKP, some words about the architecture is that we have a core that is the WebGIS app, but there are 3 modules that are pillars. So the data management portal, the NBS code sourcing app, and they are all, let's say, collaborating with the WebGIS app. But you will see in a moment. Just to give a snapshot of the snapshot of the platform. So to summarize what I said is that we have 6 user profiles. So 3 modules, more than 10 originally developed tools. We have more than 100 data sets, and also we have more than 700 MBS, and of course we have also a considerable number of policy documents that can be of course shared and looked at. Finally, but not least, we have also the elements that comes from Operandum OAL. So the 9 story maps refer to our experience with all this chain of implementing an OAL to demonstrate NBS from Operandum. You can have a look at the public web link to the GeoIKP, and so this should be available after, if not today, in the following days following this webinar. So I think that I have convinced, or I hope that I have generated some curiosity for our platform. I will stop here and we start navigating, and Laura will help us doing that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Silvana. So, welcome to everybody to this second part of the webinar. What I'm going to do with you now is to actually navigate together a little bit the platform and show you some of the main features that we have so far implemented. So, of course, I will start with the landing page. This is the first things that you will see when reaching our platform. So the first action that the user is asked to do is to select his own profile. So there is the 6 user profile that you can see here, and for each of them there is a short description of the main tools and data that each profile might search for here. So for example, by clicking on citizen, I will be redirected to the customized homepage done for this profile, which of course is simple and very straightforward, and start with a short description of what natural hazards are, with graphical aid explaining the main type of them, like flooding, drought, and so on. And on the right, in similar way, an explanation of nature-based solution with, again, some example here describing how they can be used for different hazard. So, of course, there is a link at more documentation and explanatory page on what NBS are, and a set of tools that can be explored. Now, this is, of course, different from what, for example, a company of a business partner could look for. So in this case, selecting this profile, you have a different interface where you can have more technical tool displayed, and among these there are also customized resources, like for example the business networking. Now this was specifically created for this user profile, and it is a database where you can find partner and funding opportunity. And you can see here that there is also the possibility for you to register your own company and so get listed and visible in our database. Now the structure is pretty simple, so you can search for collaboration and partner just by free text keyword, or just by country, by type of MBS approach, and so on. Or you can just scroll down through the entire database and look for different type of companies. Now, in a similar fashion, you can also look for a funding opportunity. So again, you have a filtering and free text keyword option to search for result, or again, just scrolling down among the different option and different list of funding opportunity, both a global and country level. So I hope this, first of all, gave you an idea of the customization done for this different user profile. And then next, I would like to go a little bit more in detail about the tools that overall this platform offers. So first set of tools is really about learning. So the idea here is to provide information to the user about the concept of MBS, but also about what is the co-creation process, and what are permitting paths and why they are important when planning an MBS intervention. So just to give an example of these different tools, this is the page where you can find an explanation of what permitting parts are and why you need to take this in consideration. So it basically explains the key components that you need to take into account and the different legislation that you should consider related to this thematic area. So give a sort of overall direction, but you can also look at specific example given in Operandum. So for example, if I select Finland, I can see what exactly was the permitting path followed in this country to implement an NBS project as done in Operandum. So you can see what was the this from the environmental aspect and also for the other aspects. So if, for example, you will find what was the permission proposal that was required to be done and the step that you need to follow from an administration point of view and so on. So this is just the first set of tools, and then of course there is a second set where you can go more into the detail of it. And for citizens, this might mean to, for example, explore and read about what was the experience of other community. And this can be done to a dedicated tool where you can either read or share your own experience with the NBS project, or through another page which is called Operandum Best Practices, where you can read in detail about the entire life cycle of several NBS projects that are the one implemented in Operandum. So you can see here the entire list, and by clicking on one of them, for example, on All Greece, you will have a detailed story map of this project. So the top bar menu tell you the different section that you will find here, going from monitoring, cost-benefit analysis, the co-creation process, the result, and so on. And you can do that or just scroll down as I'm doing now and see exactly how this look like. So there is, of course, a description of the hazard of this area and the risk analysis, climate impact, and detailed analysis of the land use and land cover, that are all aspects that need to be taken into account when planning an NBS intervention. Here you can see the methodology followed to select the appropriate intervention and the location for them. So you can move on, read about what are the specific intervention, what are also the permitting path for this case, what was the modeling method adopted to evaluate the impact and the performance of the NBS, as well as the monitoring done in this specific case. So I will not go to the end because it's quite extensive, but again, you can also find the stakeholder method, what was done, and etc. Now, this is done for these different NBS project, and one point that I would like to highlight here is that this is really a live document, in the sense that while Operandum proceed, more results will be incorporated in almost real time in this story map. And the other point I would like to make is that you have the possibility to switch profile by clicking this yellow icon. So this, for example, allow you to see different level of and depth of the information. Now, the one I just show you was for business. Of course, for a citizen, some technical detail will be left out so that the information is accessible to the wider community. And this switching profile is available not only for these resources, but for the entire platform. Okay, so after that, I like to show you another part of the platform that is about really make use and discover what is available, what has been done, and so on. So I already show you this from the company perspective. That was the business networking. And we also have two other different databases. One is for the policy catalog that Silvana was mentioning before. So here you find several legislation policy documents by country, by hazard that you can explore and might be helpful for your permitting path, for example. And the other database is for other existing case studies which you can explore in our platform. So I will switch now to the scientist profile just to show you more tools available. So this is how it looks like. So you have the possibility to filter the result through this top bar. For example, if you want just to look at MES that address drought, or you are interested to specific type of intervention, or you want to just to look at MBS for coastal area or for urban area and so on, you can then use this filter. Same here, if you are interested to MBS addressing specific SDG or societal target and challenges like coastal resilience and so on. Alternatively, you can just search on the map or scroll down to this entire list where you have several pages. So either case, by zooming in and out to this map, also the list below will be refreshed accordingly. So what means that what you see here is really the list based on the map zoom that you have. And the same is true for the map view statistic that show you basically the statistic of what you have in the map. Now what I can do next is select a specific case study and learn more about it. So there is, of course, the textual description, but there are also several tags like the type of hazard, the type of intervention, the type of ecosystem, target, and so on. There is a link to the original source of information for this case study, or alternatively, you can read more in our crowdsourcing app, which is where we collect all this case study, and you can also add your own MBS project. So after that, you have some tab that show you, for example, some similar MBS that you can explore, so similar to the one you just selected. You can see what could be the relevant policy for this specific case studies, and if available, also the data set. And finally, you can also explore this MBS in a local context. So this take us to another important feature of the platform, which is called interactive map. So here, basically, you see again the same, database of MBS displayed. But in addition to that, you have the possibility to analyze this using a set of available data set. So you can see here we have a different type of data like geographic boundary, land cover, and land use data set. So this is the one I just displayed. Or you can, for example, have information on buildings, on other different thematic areas like what are the available monitoring station or flood risk map and so on, so on. So it's a very long list, so you can have a more detailed look, but I am just scrolling down to give you an idea of how many you can use. And for each of them, you can, of course, play around, like if you use this little button, you can have the legend, you can change the opacity, hide the layer, and you can also have specific information like what is this data set, what is the sources of information, and so on. So I'm not going in all the detail because this is a very, very rich tool. And for that, I'm going to show you just a quick demo prepared by our colleague from Caio that explain, for example, how this could be used when I'm looking at a specific area like Bratislava, where I have this the Danube River flowing through it with some, river flood risk for the city. So I have loaded some layer here. One is, as I just said, the flood hazard map, but I also have the population density, and of course the MBS. So the point is that here I can see what is going on by just checking this another layer. I can see that there is an MBS in the area, and by clicking here, I can look in detail at the specific MBS like I was doing also before, but in combination with other layers. So, for example, what is the specific, what is the population density in that point, or other information depending on the dataset layer that I have uploaded. So I can also add layer from my own computer, or again searching from the one available. So if I'm doing a flooding analysis, I can, for example, use the water retention index to understand what is the condition around the point. While with the search button, I can see if there are available weather station or other monitoring station like this one. And this tool actually allow you to even download the data set if you want. Other feature is the possibility to print this screen or to search for any additional data set in our database by keyword. So here you can see you have the entire list coming from our data portal. You can just choose one and then just open the data or copy the link. And once you copy the link, you can transfer this in any GIS desktop app or software you have on your computer. So you just copy the link in your own software and you can continue your analysis. So this is bring us to this other set of tools, the interactive map that I just show, and of course the data portal, which is where all this data and many other can be actually downloaded or accessed more into detail. So how this is done? As you can see, there are several data sets that you can play with in the platform, and all these data sets have been collected in our data portal. So no, we don't we consider not only data coming from OPERANDUM, but also from external sources like Copernicus, Inspire, and so on, and other MBS platform and sources. So the idea is to really collect and harmonize this data following a specific metadata structure, which is on one side aligned to international data standard regulation like Inspire, which assure us that our data fulfill the FAIR principle of discoverability, interoperability, and so on. On the other hand, this metadata is enriched in such a way that specific data set can be linked to specific case studies of the catalog, or alternative to thematic area of interest for the in the NBS context, like for example, land cover dataset. So this is the idea behind this data management portal, and you can, and this is how the landing page look like. You can easily access it from here, from the menu bar of the platform, just clicking on data catalog. And once you are redirected here, you can, search, sorry, for dataset either in an interactive way on the map, or just scrolling down, or using tags. So you can see that datasets are organized by groups, different type of format, different thematic area. So you can filter out whatever is of interest for you. Or you can just do a free text research. Of course, you can see this add dataset button that allow you, once registered to this portal, to upload new dataset. And just to give you an example of this procedure, so by just searching the keyword land, I found 20 dataset, 21. So if I select one of these, you will see how it is presented. So on the left, there is the organization responsible for this dataset, and a short description, and the core metadata. Now, this symbol is to tell you that this metadata follow the INSPIRE directive, while this other operandum symbol tell you that these are additional metadata information suggested by operandum. And as I was mentioning before, it's very important this part where you can see that this dataset, for example, relates to a specific NBS case study, in this case, the dune of the Bellocchio Beach in Italy. So at that point, you can either preview or simply download on your computer this dataset. And so this concludes the first part of tools. I would like to emphasize that we are also developing another tool which is called Mbs Toolkit, which will be ready for you to use very soon. And it is one of the more innovative tool of the entire platform. So the idea is that the user will just select an area and the hazard of interest, and the platform will automatically performs a suitability analysis, and so will provide suggestion of the most appropriate NBS intervention for that area and for that hazard. Now, this will be supported by a suite of indicators which tell you how feasible or affected this NBS can be, and there will be also there will be complemented with some existing NBS example of this of the same type taken from the catalog. So I will conclude by saying that we hope you will get also involved in this platform, since we want to really have a collaborative platform, as the title of this webinar said. So we offer different ways to do this. As I said, you can register your company if you are a business, if you are in the business sector, or you can upload new data set if you're a scientist. You can share your citizen story or community story, and of course you can add your own MBS project through our portal. So I hope this give you, although quick, an overview of the platform, and I really would like hope to see you during the next training session in September. And I'd like to give a big thank to the entire UP7 team, especially Caio team that make this effort possible. Thank you. So I will stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you very much, Lara and Stefana, for these very nice presentations and a great overview of the GeoIKP. I see we're getting many positive reactions and responses from the audience. I'm sure that some of our participants are eager to try out the platform for themselves. So we do have some time for questions, and I see that there have been quite a few posted in the chat, which are being answered by our experts. I'm very lucky to have all our technical team here today. So I think I will read out some of the questions. So if you like, you can elaborate a bit on them. I think it'll be interesting for all of our viewers. So let me start with the most recent one, which was if the data can be used for any purposes. So it says this platform is very interesting and useful. Can it be used for any purposes, both for academia and industrial use? So maybe if you would like to just give a brief answer to that for all of our audience.
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to say that I guess this was a question that is related to the actual data portal. So the data set are categorized in public, private, or restricted access. So if they are, depending on the type of access, of course, you are allowed or not to use. And we are actually developing even a more structured format for that with the DOI and everything, so you can cite the data set if you are going to use it. So in general, the answer is yes, and when that is not possible, there is written that is restricted or private access. I hope this addresses your question.
Thank you, Laura. That's great. Another question I see from Martijn Kuller. Where does all this data come from, and is it publicly available? So I see that Milan also responded in the chat. I don't know if you would like to respond just briefly now.
If I may, would be nice to hear also the voice of some. Let's make it, less formal, if I may. I can see that just to interpret the momentum, as we said, we are really excited, and we can see that has made an impression. So if some of you has the courage to ask us some of the questions, we have tried between Milan and I to respond to some of the questions. So, but to keep these few minutes alive, there is someone that want to make some direct question to Laura and to myself and also to Milan. Please do. So we make it. Sorry, Zara, I don't want to do your work, but I can not stop myself in acting as coordinator of this project. So.
Of course. So if anyone does want to speak, I think it would be great if you raise your hand, because right now all of the participants are still muted, and I can then help you unmute so that you can take the floor. So please.
No, please, Martin, that seemed very active. Martin Kuller, maybe, yeah. If you want to show your screen, please. Show your face.
You are muted, probably.
You should now be able to unmute.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
But we cannot see you yet.
Okay. I opened my camera. I can see myself, but I don't know. I'll just go ahead and just say, well, congratulations with the great platform. It looks really, really good and interesting. And yeah, my question about the data was actually already answered by your presentation later on and also in the chat. But maybe to add to that question as well, because I'm also sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Martijn from ERAG in Switzerland, and I also work on NBS tools, especially for urban areas. I'm also wondering if the platform is also open to the addition of new tools or the linking up with other tools in addition to new data.
If I may, sorry, Milan, let's say that we are working on this. As I said, this is our first official release. But first of all, we are collaborating with our sister project. It's the topic of our discussion this Friday and the report to the Commission on Monday. So, but the idea is that we will find to facilitate the interaction with other projects so that, let's say, you know, there could be no duplication of the work. So if there is a specific module that we think is superior or could be, let's say, better replaced, this is a discussion that we could have. Sorry, Milan, you wanted to say something, but if you...
No, you said it all, and maybe like we are also open to collaborate outside of the sisters projects. So if somebody is interested and has some interesting data which can be used for the community, we are all happy to to ingest it in the platform and share it with the others. If you want to have your data seen by the NBS world, we are happy to collaborate and help you, guide you with all the tools we have made available. So very happy.
The idea is that we become an NBS community around the concept of a platform, also in the spirit of sharing data. So I appreciated your questions about, the data sources, but also being very transparent. So this documentation on the source, on the level of accessibility, also giving credit to the extra work that has been done. So through the classification of the metadata that is related to a specific project. So let's say if you have developed some specific connotation characteristics that should emphasize a better role of a data set and is associated to your project, we can find a way of course, saying this explicitly. So transparency is a key element. Yeah. I don't know if we responded, but yeah.
Yes, very much so. And I'm sure I'll be in contact with you. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yes, so there is a question, can we download all this data or just display? No, as I said, if they are, public or you should just be able to download that, no problem. So, yes.
There is someone else?
I see a question from Cher Valley. If you would like to take the floor, otherwise I can read out.
Yeah, if she can take the floor, it will make it more lively.
Silvana, you are demanding.
Yeah, but it's only an hour. It shouldn't be tiring. We kept the time. I hate to call the time, but you kept the time.
Yes, we have basically just a very few minutes left. Maybe so the question is if the platform covers all countries or a few selected for the project. Maybe
I think Milan responded already.
I try to respond like we are trying to keep the data EU-wide as much as possible, but of course the quality of data and the resolution is very different if you have European data sets or very local data sets. But we are able, the platform is designed to host all different types of data with different resolution, geographic constraints, and everything. So everything is ready.
Thank you, Milan. I also just saw another question from Michael Nones. Would you like to?
Responded. I have already responded.
I just changed. I changed you to presenter if you would like to speak.
We have a committee looking at the quality of the data.
Work, right?
Sorry?
Yeah, actually, I was just wondering who checked the quality of the data. If I, as a single researcher, can upload things, how you are sure that these data are good or not?
Yeah. This is one of the key element, another of the key elements. So we have a committee now done by within the management, and so we look and control the data. Yeah, this is a part of the quality control.
Okay.
And just to add to that, when you are going to actually upload new data among the voices, let's say the field that you need to compile, there is one where you will specify if they are raw, quality checked, and then there is a line that say approved by operandum committee or not. So that is it's a long procedure, but we'll see.
We have taken this into account. Please ask another question that we cannot respond.
There is one question, right?
There is another question, 1 second, on how to link up with the team for partnership and collaboratives in Kenya specifically.
Just write to us.
Straightforward.
Yeah, just write to us, and any of us will direct you to respond to your specific question, and also to identify the area of collaboration. So anyone in the team, you can write to me, and after that I will forward to the person that is most suitable, if you want.
Yeah, also after, the EGU meeting, there was this type of interaction that was very good because, for example, a researcher for Japan offered different case study to be implemented in our platform that they were working on. So it's really good that, as the title said, this should be a collaborative platform. So we really hope to reach that stage. And Lorenzo just shared the contact page also for all of you.
Great. I think that's actually a quite good point to close the session. I don't see any further questions. If you would like to get rid of a very pressing question, please do it now.
Yeah, pressing question.
Yes. Yeah, we're just a couple of minutes over time, so I think yeah, it's a good closing point. And I will thank our speakers again, Silvana and Laura. Thanks so much. It was really great presentation. And I also thank our technical experts, Milan, Sasha, Joy, for being here and for doing a lot of work on the platform. And thanks, of course, to our participants for joining us today. Do stay tuned, as I mentioned earlier, for upcoming events and Operandum webinars. The next one will take place on May 27th, and you can find all updates on the Operandum website. Thank you, and hope to see you soon, and stay safe.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you next.